Radio Network, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Seria. It's great to be here. We are going to get to the phones, 866-300-9298. Looks like the major indices are looking like they're going to open maybe slightly up right now. They've been hanging around the flat line most of the morning. They're up slightly now, so we'll see how that shakes out. There is a rally going on right now in Europe, in the European stocks, in reference to the Fed the Fed deciding to taper. So it's having a positive impact on them as well as it did on our markets yesterday. 866-300-9298. Let me go to David. David's calling us from Texas. Hey, David.
Good morning, Dan. I appreciate you and your ministry. I'm a first-time caller.
Thank you.
Well, first, I have a comment about the Robertsons. I think if I was the Robertson family, I would just halt production of the show and put the pressure back on A&E.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if they won't do that. I'm wondering if that's not exactly what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see.
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see them stand up for their values.
Me too.
So my question is, my wife and I, we live in a rural area, and we're sometime in the next year, we're looking at moving closer to town, primarily because that's where our extended family is, and we want to be closer to our grandkids. And we've got about $20,000 worth of student loans and about $12,000 of other debt that we've been working hard to pay off. But my question is, we're looking at maybe getting somewhere in the area of about $60,000 back. We've got that much equity in our current house.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, would it be advisable to take some of that equity and pay off the debt and then put less down on the new property?
How you set, David, for income? The reason I asked that question, because I would say yes, that would be a good plan. I like that. But I'm wondering from an income standpoint, when you move and buy the new home, if ideally the situation would be that you would be able to get a shorter term mortgage than normal, get a lower interest rate, so get maybe a 20-year
right
instead of a 30, and then try to pay a little bit of principal. Does all of that sound feasible with your cash flow from your income if you were to put a smaller amount down? Go ahead.
We're not retired yet. We're very young grandparents. I'm only 50 right now.
Okay.
So my wife and I are both still fully employed, and we actually have a 15-year mortgage on the house that we have now. And I've and that brings up another little question. I was wondering if it would be better to get. And we are disciplined enough to do this. This is what we've been doing in the past until we just refinanced a year or two ago and got the 15-year mortgage. But would we be better off to get a 30-year mortgage and then just send extra in on the principal, and that way you're not obligated to that larger payment in case something happens that you need a little extra cash flow?
Yeah.
But I'm also a veteran, so I can get a VA loan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love, and I know what you're saying about the 30-year, but I would rather see you do the 15, because here's why. I believe that if you get a VA 15-year mortgage, the interest rate's going to be such, it's going to be considerably lower. And the other thing is, you'll be amazed how in a year, you will become accustomed to paying that a little bit of a higher mortgage rate. It's not going to be dramatically higher, I don't think, but a little bit higher mortgage rate. And I would rather you become accustomed to that, and you'll find out in a year or two, you'll be able to pay some extra payments towards that 15-year and, head towards a little bit more financial security a little bit quicker. So, right. I mean, that's just kind of my mindset, and that's, that's what I'd like. I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you on that. It does make some sense. And, if you're a disciplined person, that's good. But, I probably, if I had a pick and I had the option of picking, I felt I was comfortable with the 15, I would elect to do the 15 regardless.
Right. And then of course the ultimate goal is to be mortgage free by the time we do retire.
Yes. That's the ideal situation, and that should be your number one priority, so that you can obviously free up that cash flow. But I think you're on the right track. I like what you're doing, and yeah, I would really want to see you pay that debt off and be done with it. That's going to free up the cash flow to allow you to do a 15, or allow you to put some money towards that extra money toward that mortgage payment. So that just makes good sense.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey,
God bless you and keep up the good work.
Thank you, David. I'll do it, and thank you for calling for the first time. I sure appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Let me go to Doug. Doug calling us from Ohio. Hey, Doug.
Morning, Dan. Thanks
Morning.
for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, my wife and I, we're in our early 50s, and we just inherited a little bit of money, and I've been listening to you talk about the Roth IRAs and the SEPs, and we were going to open up one or two of those. Now, my wife just started a network marketing business, and it's not an LLC or anything, but would that still qualify to do a SEP?
Yeah. To do a SEP?
Yeah,
as long as she is going to declare earned income in some way, shape, or form from that. So if she's going to do that, at the end of 2014, she's going to declare earned income, then yes, it would qualify her for that SEP. Yes.
Yeah, she got the Ohio vendor's license, but, we didn't do the LLC or anything like that yet. Now, would it be good to do it this year yet or wait till next year? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's always good to get some money this year, but here's the thing. You can do it next year for this year because it's IRA payment. So you could technically make 2 payments next year to your SEP. You could make one payment before April 15th for 2013, and then, later in the year, you could make 2014's contribution.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right,
Merry
Doug.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for that. Great stuff. 866-300-9298. Let me go to Scott. Scott's calling us from Oklahoma. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I've got a 401k that I put the max in and a pension plan, but I'm thinking of putting $100 a week into an ETF. See, I like to buy what's cheap, and when the Dow's rising, I was thinking about buying dog, because it seems like every 10 years there's some sort of crash.
Mm-hmm.
So and then taking that money out, obviously, when it does well.
Well, here's the thing.
And buying an ETF that goes with the Dow.
So you want to buy an ETF that is indexed to the Dow? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
in other words,
no, dog operates opposite of the Dow. It's down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. I thought you said gold. I thought you were saying gold.
No, dog, D-O-G.
Okay, I got you.
And see, it's around $26, and as the Dow's rising, it gets cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking of putting $100 a week into that and waiting for the next stock market debacle and then getting out of that position.
Yeah. Well,
it seems like every 10 years there's some sort of credit bubble, tech crash. It seems like something you can almost count on.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be another downtick, that is for certain. But I would be okay with that. I mean, I've used that ProShares ETF fund on occasion in the last 8 or 9 years. I know a little bit about it. I would be okay with you doing that. I mean, it makes sense.
I read The Intelligent Investor a long time ago, and it seems like a lot of people want to jump on something that's rising, but by the time everyone notices it's rising, it seems to be overpriced.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, if you're going to do it and you do it relatively quick, I mean, put some money into it, I would be okay with it. I mean, it's.
I mean, is my mindset right about buying what's cheap?
You mean what's down?
Buying
What's already down? You mean? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's an ETF that's down about 20% on the year. So,
back in '08 when the market crashed, it went up to like $88, $89.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's a good time to get in. There's no doubt about it. So your thinking is absolutely right. I think the stock market correction is not going to be another 5 years, which would make it 10. In March, it'll be 5 years that we've had a rising market. I don't think it's going to be another 5 years. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that.
What I'm saying is by past performance, you can just... It seems to me that the federal government, their relationship with the Federal Reserve always causes some kind of market disasters.
Well, I can't say that has been the case. We are living in a totally different day right now, and certainly there are trends that are going to be consistent when we look at the markets. But we've got so much just irrational behavior in the markets and the economy. This is a totally different day. But having said that, what the Fed has done to create, if you believe the Fed has created those bubbles in the past that have burst, for instance, the 2008 bubble that burst, I don't think it was the Fed. I think it was the government policy that did it outside the Fed. But nevertheless, the fact of the matter remains, it becomes irrelevant. I wouldn't try to start guessing why the market is going to come down, because if you're in something like dog, if you're in that, the fact of the matter is the objective and the way the investment strategy is on that ETF is that when the Dow moves down, regardless of why it moves down, when the Dow moves down, that fund should do the opposite and begin to move up. So I think if you're just going to do it as a hedge against your investments in your 401k or the fact that the Dow is going to go down, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a fine strategy and do it. But I think you're going to see it come up, which will be to your benefit. I don't know that your IRA money is going to be going up, but this will go up certainly in the next couple of years as the Dow starts to come down. The problem with that strategy, and I'll let you go, but the problem with that strategy is that when you have such an imbalance, in other words, if you have I'm going to say $50,000, I'll say $10,000 in your IRA, and you're trying to hedge that $10,000 by putting $100 a month, you're going to be a long time to be able to maybe never catch it, because all the while you're continuing to put into your 401k and your IRA monies as well. So it's going to be, you're probably never going to catch up. So the way a hedge works, whether it's a currency hedge or a hedge like this works, is when you have some sort of balance or close to a balance. So if you have 10,000 in your IRA, the ideal situation, if you really want to hedge it, is to put 10,000 into this ETF. And now you've got a true hedge where you have one maybe being somewhat stable at this point while the Dow's going up, and the other one obviously going up, outpacing the stability or the downside of the dog shares. So I think as long as you develop some balance, if you don't develop the balance, it's not going to work. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to work, the strategy, in the sense that this isn't going to go up, but it's not going to do you a lot of good if you don't have some sort of balance in there. So you can do it assuming for the next 5 years, and this is the point I was trying to make, I don't think it's going to be 5 years. So you're likely to only have a year and a half worth of $100 a month into this account. by the time the Dow really starts coming down and this starts to go up. Is that going to be enough to offset your losses that you have exposed to the markets? Probably not. So you just have to think about that. I don't think it's going to be 5 years. I don't know. I don't think we can look at the past as to how these investment instruments work. That's going to hold true. There's no doubt about it. The question is, when is it going to happen? And we can't get locked in mentally to a box in these days that we think, well, we got another. If that's the case, I would be telling everybody to get into the market, because come March, we're only going to be 5 years into this bull market. And by looking at past history, we could say, well, we got another 5 years. Let's get in. I don't think that's the case. Anyway, good stuff. Thank you. Let me go to David in Ohio. Hey, David.
Hi, Dan. You're talking about, donating, animals, the poor people around the world.
Yes.
And, that's a great way of sharing your faith. And Matthew 12:30 says, we either declare Jesus Lord, and we either help gather for Jesus, or we scatter. Mm-hmm. There's no in between. Yeah. I hand out Bible tracts all the time. And, if you try to sit on the wooden fence between gathering and scattering, what do you get? Wooden splinters. Nobody wants that.
Right. Yeah, you got that right. David, as always, great stuff, man. I appreciate you, brother, and appreciate the work you're doing. But, David, there you go, folks, hitting the nail on the head. And, we this isn't something we should do. We're called to do it. We're called to get involved with Gospel for Asia and proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We should all be engaged in that. And here's an opportunity to reach an impoverished, stricken family in Asia for the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I hope you'll go to
today are leaving behind essential marks of